Gather, friends, and lend me your ears as I spin this tale for you tonight. Now, a great many souls have heard the tales of the Aesir, the Norse gods of Oskar, the knowledge of Odin, the beauty of the goddess Freya, the strength of Thor, and the trickery of the sly one Loki. Yes, they all rule in the highest and sunniest branches of the world tree, Yggdrasil. But what do you know of Alfheim? Of the Norse Fae creatures, the Vasen, the Forest Ra, and the Vatir? Well, our story tonight takes us deep into the woods of Scandinavia, and some say this forest was a portal between Midgard, the world of men, and Alfheim, the world of fairy. Here we will meet the Skogsra, the forest wife or Huldra, and watch as one man's love of nature grows into good fortune. There once was a brave young huntsman who lived on the outskirts of a dark and enchanted wood. Thorin, son of Bjorn, was a skilled hunter and provided much for his family from the forest. He was taught by his mother to always respect the forest, its creatures, and the old ways. She told him before every hunt one should leave tribute by way of coin, food, or flowers. Now Thorin did this and more. Before every hunt, like many others, he bowed in reverence in front of his favorite tree. He brought honey cakes made by his own hand, and flowers picked by he and his sister, and he always saved a bit of silver or copper coin from the sale of his meat and furs in the village, as he heard the children of Alfheim liked shiny things. Many men respected this tradition, but Thorin was the only huntsman who not only gave tribute before his hunt, but also after. Once his kills were skinned and cleaned, he would bow once more in front of his favorite tree and offer words of gratitude before returning home. Thank you, spirits of the forest, great Vasen, for allowing me to take this bounty. You provide me all that I need, and I wonder at your beauty. Now the forest and all of its creatures, they always heard Thorin. They loved him for his loyalty, and they wanted him near. One day, as Thorin said his gratitude prayer, the tree dropped an unusual-looking seed. Seeing this as a good omen, the huntsman took the seed and buried it right away, thanking the forest one more time for its gifts. He left the wood and did not think on it again. Just a few days later, he returned to find a tiny sapling growing where he planted the seed. He was careful not to trample it while he did his rituals. When Thorin returned 2 weeks later, the sapling had grown surprisingly large and in an odd shape. But still, Thorin respected this growth and was careful not to disturb it. He went about his day as he always did. It was but 3 weeks later, when Thorin returned, that he was given a shock. The sapling was gone. He sat with his tribute, pondering for some time and hoping that no one had dug it up. It was then that he heard beautiful music coming from the trees. The words of the forest whispered in Thorin's ears.
Good huntsman, we have seen your dedication and tribute, and we seek to reward your loyalty. From the seed you have planted, the forest has grown for you a woodwife, Bjorka, the Skogsra, warden of the wood, made from the stuff of the forest. You will take her as beloved, and make your home with her here, among us. Your offspring shall be beloved of the Vasen. Do you accept?
Thorin felt his heart jump at her touch. She was as beautiful to him as birdsong and starlight. I accept! And at that moment, Bjorka, the Skogsra, felt her wooden heart begin to beat for the very first time. Thorin and Bjorka made their home in the forest and lived many happy months. But one day, after a meeting in the village, Thorin came to his wife with worry on his face. My father and brothers have it in their minds to go raiding in the spring, and I am called to go with them. I am no warrior, but I must not disappoint my family. Say words of magic and protection for me, wife. I will leave in 2 months' time. Bjorka begged him not to go, but he had made a promise, and so she must go about the task of trying to protect him. Bjorka went deep into the woods, where she kept a scrying bowl. She looked into the waters and saw 3 fates for her husband. The first fate was death by water. The sea would not recognize this forest man and would swallow him right up. The second was death by war. Sharp metal would pierce his flesh. He would fall and not return. But the third fate was a happy one, in which he came home unscathed, and they had many sons and daughters. Bjorka was afraid, but she had an idea in mind. Thorin was a part of the forest now, and she was a forest warden. She packed a few things on her back and told her husband that she would be away for 7 days. Thorin was curious, but he never questioned his wife. Bjorka traveled many miles through the mountains and trees. She was swifter than most. She was a part of the land, and every part of it was familiar to her. She traveled so far through the forest that she soon came to cliffs that overlooked a great expanse of ocean. Once at the beach, she steeled her nerve and took a boat out into the middle of the sea. She stood in her boat, this creature of the forest, and called bravely for the great world serpent Jormungand. And after an entire day of calling for him, dripping with salty seawater, the serpent appeared.
Child of the forest, you are out of your realm. What brings you to my home, and why have you disturbed me? Answer, before I gobble you like seagrass.
Great serpent, O ancient one, forgive my unworthy presence amongst the waves. I come for my husband, a man blessed by the Vasir. He is not a seafaring man, nor is he a warrior, and I have seen his demise in my divinations. I come to seek your wisdom for his journey across the ocean.
The serpent threw back his head and laughed.
You seek my wisdom but bring nothing to give? You are a twig and a fool. I will eat you.
Wait, I do have something to give great Jormungand. In one of his fates I have seen Thorin and I shall produce many strong sons and daughters. I shall part with 2 of my eldest children, a boy and a girl, and send them to work the sea in service of you. Because of their parentage, our children will be bigger and stronger than men, and capable of great deeds in your honor. They will be raised on songs of your strength, and spend each summer learning the waves until you are ready to call them to do your bidding. Accept my terms, and I will keep my word as woodwife.
Jormungand knew that the children of human and forest spirits were indeed special and blessed by the gods. He would not eat Bjorka like seagrass, and he thought it might be in his best interest to deal with her squarely. He bowed his head to her bravery and gave her 2 solutions.
First, have your forest man shape the prow of his ship in my image, so I will know him when he crosses the water. The waves will not swallow him, but deliver him safely to whichever shore he sails to. Second, and most tricky, you must take half of his beating heart and replace it with that of your own wooden one. The heart of the forest must travel across the sea with him. Do these things, and he will return to you and his happier fate. I will look for your children in the years to come.
And with that, the serpent splashed back down into the depths and swam away. Bjorka traveled home as fast as she could. Once she returned, she told Thorin of a great and terrible dream she had had while traveling. She said that Jormungand, the serpent, had appeared to her in his vision and threatened to eat the raiding party if they did not shape the prow of their ship in his image. Thorin, trusting his wife's dreams, agreed and began work on the prow immediately. The night before his departure came swiftly. Bjorka fretted for days about how to complete her next task. She made love to her husband under soft furs and then set a heavy sleep spell upon him. While he slept, Bjorka performed a magical surgery. She took out half of her petrified wooden heart and placed it in Thorin's chest. She removed half of his blood-red heart and buried it under the tree where she herself had grown. She knew that once he awoke, Thorin would forever be bound to that forest, and it would hurt him physically to be away. Indeed, he left the next day with tears in his eyes and a pain in his chest. As the many days passed, Bjorka prayed to the gods for her husband. On the 9th day, she went to her scrying bowl to see his progress. She watched the visions unfold with nervous excitement. Jormungand had kept his word, and she saw that Thorin's ship traveled on fair seas to a distant land. On the 10th day, she looked into the bowl again and saw that the heart of the forest had protected her husband well. The vision showed an arrow pierce his flesh, but when it found his heart, it bounced off the petrified wood that acted as a shield. He suffered only a minor flesh wound. On the 13th day, she looked into the bowl and found Thorin on his way back home, safely swaying on calm seas. Bjorka ran to their home in the forest and prepared for his homecoming. When Thorin arrived, he kissed Bjorka and knelt in gratitude before his forest wife. He told her that while he was away, he dreamt of her every night and knew that she traveled with him in spirit. Indeed, he said that his dreams had told him of her journey to see the serpent and of the magical surgery that she had performed. He knew with certainty that he would return to her and that together they would have many sons and daughters. He knew that their children would go on to do a great many deeds. But those are tales for another time. The end.
Woo!